Aemond. Why are you here?
Aegon has abdicated the throne.
Abdicated? What do you mean?
Fled King's Landing with that toad, Larys.
No, Aegon was bedridden. Well, where could he have gone? Why?
Because he is even more stupid than he is craven.
We must send a search party. He needs to be found immediately.
Where were you, Mother? You've not been seen in the keep in days.
The Lannister host is scattered, my prince. The vanguard was smashed and the rear guard broken and fled.
And what of the Golden Lord Lannister?
Fled when the cavalry broke rank. Our scouts believe they may be regrouping near the God's Eye.
Then we'll continue the fight there. We must pursue them till the last.
Have graves dug for our dead.
Aye, my lord.
Craxes would make short work of these bodies. And burnt flesh carries no plague.
That is not our way. Rivermen must be returned to the mud.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. HBO released a couple new scenes from House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 1. There's a bunch of Easter eggs, WTF moments, and jokes, so we'll break it all down. I will be doing weekly episode videos once it starts this weekend. That's right, this weekend episodes start. The full Episode 1 will release on Sunday. My videos each week will post later Sunday nights. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get everything. Everybody grab your Valyrian steel weapons, it's time for war. There are several people that are going to be wielding Valyrian weapons on both sides this season. Starting with the first scene, the reason why Aemond is so pissed off at Alysanne and why Alysanne is so surprised and a little terrified of him, like, am I going to get shanked in here inside the throne room here? Is because she's been away on her little secret mission to do a little treason with Rhaenyra during Season 2, Episode 8. Like, who wants to come do a little treason with me for a second? She's now tried to secretly return to the Red Keep a couple days later in King's Landing without any of the Greens noticing that she was gone for a hot minute. But the secret is out because they definitely noticed she was not around for a couple days.
You've not been seen in the keep in days.
This also lets you know some of the timeline and how long it took her to get to Dragonstone and back because she was barely there for more than a couple minutes before turning around and coming back. I think this is also to address fans' concern during the original Game of Thrones series about all the teleporting the characters did across the map so quickly. For example, if you traveled from King's Landing to Winterfell, that would take you months to get to Winterfell, not days. So Alysanne here at the beginning of Season 3 didn't know that Aegon escaped in the night with Larys Strong, the Toad as Aemond calls him, and is trying to catch a ship to the east. At least that's what they're trying to do at the beginning of Episode 1. So the idea is that Aemond, who has already been Prince Regent for the second half of Season 2 after he burned Aegon himself, that's a whole other story because Aegon in the Season 3 trailers vowed to kill Aemond, his brother, in revenge for that. Just open up a tab, we'll get to that eventually this season. Now that Aegon is completely gone from the Red Keep, Aemond has taken this as the all-clear sign that Aegon has fully abdicated the Iron Throne and believes that he is the next oldest male heir to Viserys, on the green side at least, which is why he's sitting on the Iron Throne wielding Blackfire, Aegon the Conqueror's Valyrian sword, which was passed down from king to king. Each king would give it to the intended heir when he took the throne or just before he took the throne, with a couple of exceptions like Maegor wielded it even though he wasn't king at the time. But Aemond is wielding it here while he's sitting on the Iron Throne, and even though you can't see it in the frame here, he also has the Valyrian dagger on his hip, the one with the prophecy on it. We actually see him dual wielding it with Blackfire inside Harrenhal later in the trailers. The only thing that Aemond is missing here is the actual crown itself, or one of the crowns, because there are two crowns. So he has all the trappings, all the flair, the goods that tell other people that you are king, and he's sitting on the Iron Throne, so he's doing everything but wearing the crown. Rhaenyra has her father's crown, which also belonged to Jaehaerys before him. Jaehaerys created it. Aegon wore Aegon the Conqueror's older Valyrian steel, and it had been in storage in the Red Keep when the Greens hastily crowned him in Season 1. I don't know why Aemond is not wearing the crown here. He probably would if he could find it. Maybe Aegon took it with him when he and Larys took off, but he didn't take the Valyrian dagger. Alysanne wasn't around for any of this, so she's coming back and learning all this all at the same time, like it's all coming crashing down around her, like totally surprised, wait a minute, Aegon is gone and you're now king? She expected Aegon to be here and for Rhaenyra to kill him when she arrived. That was the bargain that she struck in Season 2, Episode 8. She acquiesced to Rhaenyra's demand that she be allowed to kill Aegon in exchange for allowing her Alysanne to take Helaena and her daughter Jaehaera out of the Red Keep and safe for the rest of history, like go live their lives somewhere else in peace. That was really all Alysanne wanted to do. Like, she wanted to take Helaena and her granddaughter Jaehaera and be done with all of it. Like, no more for us.
We must send a search party. He needs to be found immediately.
So the more twisted reason why Alysanne wants a search party to be sent for Aegon is not because she wants him safe, but because of her bargain with Rhaenyra. If Rhaenyra doesn't have Aegon, doesn't get Aegon's life, she might not let Alysanne leave King's Landing with Helaena and Jaehaera. Add to that now that Aemond's informants on the Greens inside the Red Keep have told him nobody knew where Alysanne was for the last couple of days, so Aemond knew that she wasn't around. What was she doing these last couple of days? So even though they cut this scene here, Alysanne has to talk real fast to try and hide what she's done, and later in the trailers we see her try to convince Aemond to leave King's Landing with Vhagar, and Aemond seems like he goes to Harrenhal expecting to find Daemon and his army of Rivermen, but they've already long since left, as we see in the other scene. This is also why all the trailer footage of Aemond at Harrenhal is him just arriving in his armor with Blackfire, the Valyrian dagger, both pulled out and stabbing everybody in sight and burning everybody he can find with Vhagar. Everything in sight because he's so pissed off and nobody is there. It's meant to be a parallel for Daemon arriving at Harrenhal in Season 2 and the exact same thing happening. Like, he arrived as the Conqueror did, burning Harrenhal for the second and now the third time. Aemond is the third one to do this. And in each case, nobody is there except for like the skeleton crew of the Strongs who were stewards of the castle. So it's kind of darkly comedic in a really twisted WTF way, and they're both a little humiliated when it happens to each of them. Speak of the devil, because in the next scene, also from episode 1, is of Daemon and Oscar Tully, the Sesame Street Tully, after the battle at Lakeshore with the Lannister army, and it seems like they're combining the battle at Lakeshore with the battle at Red Fork. Both battles involve the Lannister forces. I also love the shout out for the God's Eye too, because of Daemon, the God's Eye, and Aemond. Everybody's wondering when that's going to happen. They're slowly building there in Season 4, so just leave a bookmark for that long term. We'll get to there eventually. But the battle at Lakeshore and then Red Fork is basically the Rivermen destroying the Lannister army and the death of Jason Lannister, the Lord of Casterly Rock. He's the twin brother of Tywin Lannister, both played by the same actor because they're twins. The reason why Jason was the one that became the Lord of Casterly Rock and got the title, even though they're twins, is because he was born first, technically, so he's a couple minutes older than Tywin, technically the older son inheriting everything as per customs. Tywin, the younger brother, even though it was only by a couple minutes, was the Green's master of ships and is the one that went to the east to get Shirako's fleet of the Triarchy to help break Corlys's blockade of King's Landing and his fleet, which is what becomes the Battle of the Gullet and is also happening in episode 1. It will be a spectacular nightmare for both sides in the war, the Dance of the Dragons. It is the bloodiest sea battle in the history of Westeros. They spent a ton of money on it, and we were supposed to see it during the end of Season 2. Originally, they were going to end Season 2 with like the moment from the end of Episode 2 of House of the Dragon Season 3, so we'll get to that when we get to Episode 2 next week too.
The sea snake is going to coil himself around Lohar. Pretty as she is, she's going down.
You can try it, but Lohar is covered in so many knives, you can coil all you want. She's going to come out clawing.
Coming out with cutlery, I'm going to come out with a real weapon that's a killer plus this. I can't wait, and you should be there.
Once you do see these first 2 episodes, you'll see why Season 2 was supposed to be so much better until the network told HBO to cut a couple of those episodes because of budgetary reasons. But at least in this scene of Daemon here with Oscar Tully, they've just finished decimating the Lannister fleet at the Battle of Lakeshore, but Jason Lannister, the leader of the Lannister army, has escaped, so they're trying to chase the last remaining Lannister forces who bailed on the fight, and just wrap up everything that's happening with the Green's army in this part of the realm. And we get this funny moment of Daemon wanting to let Caraxes burn all the dead bodies of both the Rivermen and the Lannister forces, like pretty much everybody here that's lying around, because it's super easy and Caraxes is hungry. He wants a post-battle snack. Dragon wants his snack for being a good boy. One of the funnier things about the Targaryens during this part of Westerosi history is that they're so powerful, the dragons, they terrify everyone else, so everybody else loves to host them because they love to be that close to the power of Westeros, but they also kind of hate having to deal with the dragons like the other regular lords around the realm because it's so expensive and so taxing to their stores. Anytime one of the dragons shows up in one of their realms for whatever reason, even if it's just for a little while, they eat so much cattle and so much of their food stores that it just depletes whatever part of the realm that they're in for however long they're there. It's just terrible. Everybody absolutely hates it. So now that they're in the middle of this big battle, there's these greens that they hate, and there's all these people dropping like flies around them. There's just easy ways to feed the dragons now. Basically, everybody has turned into a snack. Pull up a seat to the barbecue because we're just getting started. But the payoff on the joke here, like the other side of this, is Oscar Tully, who Daemon needs and kind of has to acquiesce to because he needs all these rivermen here, won't let him do that, saying that he wants them to take the extra time they need to dig the graves for all the dead rivermen per their customs. So burning the bodies is actually Targaryen custom, letting the dragon eat them, Targaryen custom. Daemon just wants to blow past this and be on to like the next big battle. Like there's stuff to do, people to conquer, people to kill. We need to move on to the next place. But Oscar Tully's like, no, we need to wait. We need to bury all these people. So he's basically, again, asserting his dominance over Daemon a little, like flexing his muscles a little, even though he's like a tiny little boy here. They don't hate each other, it's just him standing up to Daemon's demands, which they did a lot during Season 2. This was like a big thing with their characters. Daemon trying to muscle and bully him into doing things for the Blacks because he was so small, so young. And Oscar Tully eventually finding his courage and standing up to Daemon in front of the rest of the Rivermen, who he now leads, and now all the Rivermen respect him way more for standing up to Daemon in front of them.
That is not our way. Rivermen must be returned to the mud.
Also, the other funny moment you may have noticed in the background, zoom in and enhance, immediately on cue when Daemon suggests Caraxes burn all the bodies and maybe start eating them too, slightly, even though Caraxes himself is like way off in the distance, way out of earshot, and can't hear Daemon, he immediately starts burning them the minute that Daemon says, why don't we just burn them all? Absolutely peak comedic timing, like a very Game of Thrones kind of WTF joke. You could also look at this as Caraxes just being tuned to the emotions of his writer, Daemon, so he just understands what Daemon wants even if they're not nearby each other, which is a thing between dragons and their writers. Like he senses Daemon giving him the thumbs up to start eating everybody in sight. Meat's back on the menu, boys. The other really big book change here you'll recognize is Daemon was not here in the books. He wasn't at these battles. He had already long since gone back to Dragonstone to help Rhaenyra take King's Landing while this was all happening. This is going to be a thing throughout Season 3 and Season 4 where like there are even bigger changes to the original books because there's so little written material that George R. R. Martin actually did for this period of the Dance of the Dragons. There's a lot that happens, like a lot of characters, so they are cutting some stuff out and some characters out, but a lot of the main characters that they've established over the first couple of seasons are going to be spread out and like put in a bunch of different places that they were not in the books. So people's endings, like the way that things play out for characters, will be different in a lot of cases. For the most part, I'll try to point out like the biggest ones, like when it's like real earth-shattering changes. A lot of them are like smaller changes too, like tuning characters in the background as well. So we'll just try to keep an eye for that episode to episode as we go along. Probably the biggest changes from the books is just the whole Rhaenyra Alysanne storyline and subplot. There's going to be a lot more of the two of them having scenes together because they're both inside the Red Keep for a lot of the season. So we will unpack it all when episode 1 drops on Sunday night. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you did spot any Easter eggs or references in the new scenes that they released that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. Like I said, my full episode 1 breakdown and Easter eggs video will post Sunday night after they release the full episode 1. My weekly episode videos will just post later Sunday nights after the episodes come out week to week, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that. Everybody click here for that full episode 1 video. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for all my other House of the Dragon episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.